For a few years, I have been reviewing Star Trek. I've talked about some of the TV shows as well as most of the movies, but not all of them. I have yet to review some of the later ones after the original cast. But I'm going to do this one. Can you believe it's been 15 years since this came out? Here's my review of the 2009 reboot of Star Trek. This is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 2009 sci-fi action flick Star Trek, released by Paramount, along with Spyglass Entertainment and Bad Robot, directed by J.J. Abrams, written by Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman. The film was released on May 8th, 2009. Hence, today is the 15th anniversary of this release, even though it was had its premiere at the Sydney Opera House a month prior that year. This is the 11th overall Star Trek film and is also a reboot that features the main characters of the original TV series portrayed by a new cast, as the first in the rebooted film series. The film follows James T. Kirk and Spock aboard the USS Enterprise as they combat Nero, a Romulan from their future who threatens the United Federation of Planets. And the story takes place in an alternate reality that features both an alternate birth location for Kirk and for alterations in history stemming from the time travel of both Nero and the original series Spock. The alternate reality was created in an attempt to free the film and the franchise from established continuity constraints while simultaneously preserving original story elements. This film was a bit of a success, as a matter of fact, and got really, really good reviews. And this was really, really a good thing. Well, Star Trek had been trying to do some stuff, even with a title that, well, a film titled Star Trek to Begin, which would take place after Star Trek Enterprise, which was recently canceled. And after the failure of the last film, Star Trek Nemesis, which that's one of the few films I have yet to review, this film was worked on, and let me tell you, it did very good. Alright, let's get into the story. In the year 2233, the Federation starship USS Kelvin investigates a lightning storm in space. A Romulan ship, Narada, emerges from the storm and attacks the Kelvin, then demands that Kelvin's Captain Robau come aboard to negotiate a truce. Robau is questioned about the current star date and the ambassador Spock, whom he does not recognize. Narada's commander Nero kills him and resumes attacking the Kelvin. George Kirk, Kelvin's first officer, orders the ship's personnel, including his pregnant wife Winona, to abandon ship while he pilots the Kelvin on a collision course with Narada, since the Kelvin's autopilot is disabled. While Kirk sacrifices his life, Winona gives birth to James Tiberius Kirk. 17 years later, on the planet Vulcan, a young Spock is admitted to the Vulcan Science Academy. Realizing that the Academy views his human mother, Amanda, as a disadvantage, he joins Starfleet instead. On Earth, following a bar fight with Starfleet cadets accompanying Nyota Uhura, an adult Kirk meets Captain Christopher Pike, who encourages him to enlist in Starfleet Academy. There, Kirk meets and befriends Dr. Leonard McCoy. 3 years later, Commander Spock accuses Kirk of cheating during the Kobayashi Maru simulation. Kirk argues that cheating was acceptable because the simulation was designed to be unbeatable. The disciplinary hearing is interrupted by a distress signal from Vulcan. With the primary fleet out of range, the cadets are mobilized. McCoy and Kirk board Pike's ship, the Enterprise. Realizing that the lightning storm observed near Vulcan is similar to the one that occurred when he was born, Kirk convinces Pike that the signal is a trap. Arriving, the Enterprise finds the fleet destroyed and Narada drilling into Vulcan's core. Narada attacks the Enterprise and Pike surrenders, delegating command of the ship to Spock and promoting Kirk to first officer. Kirk, Hikaru Sulu, and Chief Engineer Olsen perform a space jump onto the drilling platform. While Olsen is killed mid jump, Kirk and Sulu disable the drill but are unable to stop Nero launching red matter into Vulcan's core, forming an artificial black hole that destroys Vulcan. The Enterprise rescues Spock's father Sarek and the High Council before Vulcan's destruction, but Amanda falls to her death before the transporter can lock onto her. As Narada approaches Earth, Nero tortures Pike to gain access to Earth's defense codes. Spock maroons Kirk on Delta Vega after he attempts mutiny. There, Kirk encounters an older Spock from an alternate timeline, who explains that he and Nero are from 2387. In the future, Romulus was stranded by a supernova, which Spock attempted to stop with red matter. His plan failed, resulting in Nero's family perishing along with Romulus, while the Narada and Spock's vessel were caught in the black hole and sent back in time. They were sent back 25 years apart, during which time Nero attacked the Kelvin, changing history and creating a parallel universe. After Spock's arrival, Nero stranded him on Delta Vega to watch Vulcan's destruction. Reaching a Starfleet outpost, Kirk and the elder Spock meet Montgomery Scotty Scott, who devises a transwarp transport system, allowing him and Kirk to beam onto Enterprise. Now for the ending, you know the procedure. You have 5 seconds to stop this video. Go to the description box below. Fast forward to the time below. As I count down now, if you've seen this movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Following the elder Spock's advice, Kirk provokes younger Spock into attacking him, forcing Spock to recognize himself as emotionally compromised and relinquish command to Kirk. After talking with Sarek, Spock decides to help Kirk. While Enterprise hides within the gas clouds of Titan, Kirk and Spock beam aboard Narada. Kirk fights Nero and rescues Pike, while Spock uses the Elder Spock's ship to destroy the drill. Spock leads Narada away from Earth and sets his ship to collide with Narada. Enterprise beams Kirk, Pike, and Spock aboard. The Elder Spock's ship and Narada collide, igniting the red matter. Narada is consumed in a black hole that Enterprise escapes. Kirk is promoted to captain and given command of Enterprise, while Pike is promoted to rear admiral. Spock encounters his older self, who persuades him to continue serving in Starfleet, encouraging him to do what feels right rather than what is logical. Spock becomes first officer under Kirk's command. End of story. So, what did I think of the reboot of Star Trek from 2009? I must admit, it was a really good movie. After I had factually recalled seeing some of the original Star Trek films, maybe not all of them, but some of them, I must say this was so incredible. It was just so amazing. The film did well, going on to make $385 million worldwide against its $150 million budget. Excuse me. It was nominated for several awards, including 4 Academy Awards at the 82nd Annual Academy Awards, ultimately winning Best Makeup, making it the first and to this date only Star Trek film to win an Academy Award, which I thought was really, really cool. Now then, let's see. Anyway, to this day, the film is the highest grossing in the US and Canada for the entire Star Trek film franchise, eclipsing both The Voyage Home, part part 4, and the original Star Trek the motion picture. Now, its opening weekend numbers alone outgross the entire individual runs of the fifth one and the sixth one. Yes, the fifth one, The Final Frontier, the sixth one, The Undiscovered Country, and the previous 2 films, Insurrection and Nemesis. The film currently sits certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes at 94%, saying the film reignites a classic franchise with action humor, a strong story, and brilliant visuals, and will please traditional Trekkies and new fans alike. Metacritic has the film a score of 82 out of 100, and CinemaScore gave it an average grade of an A. Anyway, this was really, really something. Now, the Boston Globe gave it a good score, describing it as ridiculously satisfying and the best prequel ever. Now, according to this reviewer, Ty Burr, he praised the character development in the film, opining that emotionally the film hits every one of its marks, functioning as a family reunion that extends across decades, entertainment mediums, and even blurring the line between audience and show. Well, he continued, trading on affection sustained over 40 years of pop culture, this film does what a franchise reboot rarely does. It reminds us why we loved these characters in the first place. Owen Gleiberman from Entertainment Weekly gave it an A minus, commenting that J.J. Abrams crafts an origin story that avoids any hint of the origin doldrums. Definitely. Excuse me, everyone. The film has a very good score from Michael Giacchino, who I mostly knew him from working on various films for Disney and Pixar, but I'm sure he did stuff for other films as well. Anyway, this was really, really awesome. Now, I'll get to some more reviews in a minute for what they say about the cast. For our cast, we have a pretty good cast. Playing Kirk is Chris Pine, who, of course, I saw him in the underrated film Just My Luck with Lindsay Lohan a few years prior. And of course, he would go on to be in other films, including Wonder Woman. He did an exceptionally good job and what have you. Now, according to him, well, after he got the part, he sent the original Kirk, William Shatner, a letter and received a reply containing his approval. He watched classic episodes and read encyclopedias about the Star Trek universe, but stopped as he felt weighed down by the feeling he had to copy Shatner. Well, Pine felt he had to show Kirk's humor, arrogance, and decisiveness, but not his speech pattern, which would have bordered on imitation. So he said when watching the original series, he was also struck by how Shatner's performance was characterized by humor. So instead, he chose to incorporate elements of Tom Cruise and from Top Gun and Harrison Ford's portrayals of Indiana Jones and Han Solo from Star Wars. Very good performance, anyway. Now playing Spock is Zachary Quinto, who was recently on the NBC show Heroes. And I must say, he was very good. He did an exceptionally good job. So, and I have to say, he did a lot of good things. When he joked about his performance, like he just felt like a nerd. Felt like he was 12 again. I mean, look back at those pictures and you see the bowl cut. He said there's no question that he was born to play the Spock role. Was sporting that look for a good 4 or 5 years. Now, Adrian Brody had discussed playing the role with Abrams before Quinto was cast. Now, we also have the original Spock himself, the late great Leonard Nimoy. Now, of course, this character is known as Spock Prime. Actually, and I forgot to point out, he actually voices the space, the Final Frontier lines at the in the film, which of course were originally read by William Shatner in the original TV series and animated series from 1973 and original cast films. There's Karl Urban. I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked. Yeah, Karl Urban, who recently appeared in Pathfinder and Doom. He also appeared in several other films. He played Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy. And I must say, he did an exceptionally good job. Of course, he also recently played the characters of Cupid and Caesar on Xena, Warrior Princess. Now, according to him, Urban's taken of the role of McCoy is a case of not doing some sort of facsimile or carbon copy, but really taking the very essence of what DeForest Kelly had done and honoring that and bringing something new to the table. He had been a fan of the show since he was 7 and actively pursued the role after rediscovering the series on DVD with his son. Definitely, I liked his performance as McCoy. Playing Uhura is Zoe Saldana, and Abrams had liked her work and requested that she play the role. She never saw the series, though she had played a Trekkie in the film The Terminal in 2004. Well, she actually got to meet the late great Nichelle Nichols, the original Uhura, who explained to her how she had created Uhura's background and also named the character. Now, her mother was a Star Trek fan and sent her voicemails during filming, giving advice on the part. Now, Sydney Tamaya Poitier also auditioned for the part. Really something. Simon Pegg, who I've seen in several films, played Scotty. I must admit, he's really, really good. I think he did just one heck of a job on his role. John Cho, who recently had appeared in the made appearances in the American Pie films as well as the Harold and Kumar films, played Sulu. I must say he was pretty good. Now, Abrams was concerned about casting a Korean American as a Japanese character, but George Takei explained to the director that Sulu was meant to represent all of Asia on the Enterprise, so he went ahead with Cho. I must say he was good. Now, James Kyson Lee was interested in the part, but because Quinto was cast as Spock, the producers of Heroes did not want to lose another cast member for 3 months. Playing the role of Pavel Chekhov is the late great Anton Yelchin. I have to say, he did really good. He decided to carry on Walter Koenig's speech patterns of replacing V's with W's, although he and Abrams felt this was a trait more common of Polish accents than Russian ones, and described Chekhov as an odd character, being a Russian who was brought onto the show in the middle of the Cold War. And recall the scene where they're talking to Apollo, who says, "I am Apollo," and Chekhov is like, "And I am the Tsar of all Russias." Really something. Playing Captain Nero is Eric Bana, who you may remember from the original Hulk movie that was released by Universal. Now, of course, he's the main villain as Romulan. Now, this was one of the villains of Star Trek I wasn't quite familiar with. The Klingons were mostly the only Star Trek villains I was mostly familiar with. So this kind of got me introduced to the Romulans. So he did pretty good. We have Bruce Greenwood in the role of the actual first captain of the Enterprise in this film, Christopher Pike. Let's see, Winona Ryder played Amanda Grayson, Spock's mother. And let's see, there was also Jennifer Morrison, Rachel Nichols. She would appear in G.I. Joe The Rise of Cobra, if I'm not mistaken, as Scarlet. And also Chris Hemsworth, just before he played Thor a couple of years later, playing George Kirk. Yes, before he was cast, Abrams met with Matt Damon about playing the role, but, well, at least I'm glad we got to enjoy what they had to offer. There was also others and what have you, so really something. Actually, there is a cameo appearance by Chris Doohan, the son of the original Sky, the late great James Doohan. And I think that was good. According to Simon Pegg, he emailed Doohan about the role of Sky, and the actor has promised him his performance would be a complete tribute to his father. Now Chris actually did cameo in Star Trek the motion picture. Yeah, really something. Greg Grunberg has a vocal cameo as Kirk's alcoholic stepfather. Of course, he recently worked on, I believe it was the next to last season of TV's Alias. I know he was also in Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon. He was up for the role of the character of Olsen, but dropped out due to a scheduling conflict, and was also interested in playing the character of Harry Mudd. Well, again, the list goes on. Well, now the writers wrote a scene for Shatner where Old Spock gives his younger self a recorded message by Kirk from the previous timeline. But Shatner wanted to share Nimoy's major role and did not want a cameo. And Nichelle Nichols suggested playing Uhura's grandmother, but Abrams could not write this due to the Writers Guild strike. And was also interested in casting Kerry Russell, but they deemed the role he had in mind for her too similar to her other roles. Oh well. Anyway, this was really something. Now, critics actually did like the chemistry between Pye and Quinto. Owen Gleiberman felt that as the film progressed to the conclusion, Pye and Quinto emulated the same connection as Kirk and Spock. Definitely. The Telegraph said the movie charts their relationship in a nice, oblique way. Anyway, this was very good. So, anyway, the Star Trek reboot is really, really good. It's great story, great characters, just like we know and love, but a new cast. Score's really good. The effects are really good. J.J. Abrams' direction is really good. So overall, the Star Trek 2009 reboot is not too bad at all. But would I recommend it? I'd say hell yeah, go for it. This film is so awesome. You don't know what you're missing if you've never seen this film. It's very good, and I do like it. It went on to have two sequels, which I'll be reviewing those later on down the road. Possibly, maybe later on for Super Sci-Fi September, later on this coming September. So, what did you think of Star Trek 2009? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, make it grow, and make the views grow. Join me next time when I bring to you a review of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So if you like this, check out my reviews for these other Star Trek bits. In the upper, and well, by bits I mean whatevers. In the upper left-hand corner is the TV log I did on the original series from 1966. The upper right-hand corner is the Saturday morning TV log I did on the Star Trek animated series from 1973. And the bottom left-hand corner is my review of the one that started all, Star Trek the Motion Picture from 1979. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe if you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc. Then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya, and live long and prosper. Bye now.